There is a traitor in your mind. It wears your face. It uses your voice. And it claims to be protecting you, while methodically dismantling your power every single day. And the most dangerous part? You've been trained to believe it is you. Today, we are not here to manage this voice. We are not going to negotiate with it. We are going to install an off switch, a Stoic mechanism so effective, yet so profoundly misunderstood, that 99% of men will live and die without ever discovering it exists. They will spend their lives battling a shadow, trying to win a war that cannot be won through force. But you are here because you suspect there's a different way, a higher level of control, a more intelligent strategy. Before we begin, I want you to do something. Go to the comments and write one single word that your inner critic uses against you. Failure, imposter, weak, not enough. Expose the enemy's favourite weapon. Let's drag it into the light. Let's be clear about the battlefield. The modern world is an echo chamber for your inner critic. It is a perfectly engineered environment to amplify that voice of doubt. Every social media feed is a highlight reel designed to make you feel inadequate. Every news cycle is a torrent of fear and uncertainty, the pressure to perform, to succeed, to constantly optimize. It provides the perfect fuel for the fire of self-criticism. This isn't a new problem. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, dealt with the same internal enemies. The difference is the volume. The noise today is relentless. It is piped directly into our minds from the moment we wake up. The result? A generation of men who are outwardly successful, but inwardly fragile. Men who are paralyzed by hesitation, who self-sabotage their greatest opportunities because a pre-programmed voice told them they weren't ready. This voice is the source of your anxiety. It is the architect of your procrastination. It is the silent killer of your ambition. To reclaim your power, you must first understand that this internal enemy is not a sign of weakness. It is a universal human bug, a relic of our evolutionary past. And today, we exploit that bug and turn it into a feature. On deconstructing the tyrant. The first, most critical step is to understand what the inner critic actually is. It is not an oracle of truth. It is not a wise guide. It is a primitive survival mechanism, a faulty alarm system. Its original job was to keep you safe within the tribe. Don't take risks. Don't stand out. Don't fail, or you'll be exiled and die. In the 21st century, this programming is not just obsolete. It's profoundly destructive. It cannot distinguish between the threat of being eaten by a tiger and the threat of speaking up in a meeting. To your inner critic, all risk is a mortal danger. This is why its advice is always the same. Play small, stay safe, do nothing. The moment you see it for what it is, a scared, outdated piece of software, it begins to lose its authority. It's not the voice of God. It's the voice of a caveman, terrified of his own shadow. 2. The illusion of identity. The critic's greatest trick is convincing you that it is you. It uses the first-person pronoun. I am not good enough. I will fail. This is a lie, a powerful, deeply embedded lie. The Stoic path begins with a simple but radical act of separation. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness of your thoughts. Imagine you are standing on the bank of a river. The thoughts, feelings and impulses from the inner critic are like leaves and branches floating by on the current. You can choose to jump into the river and be swept away by them, or you can simply stand on the bank and observe them pass. The critic is a transient event in your consciousness. It is not the consciousness itself. This separation is the first crack in the prison wall. It's the beginning of freedom. From now on, you don't say, I am a failure. You say, I am observing a thought of failure. The distinction is everything. 3. The futility of war. Now let's address the mistake that 99% of people make. They try to fight the critic. They argue with it. They use positive affirmations to shout over it. They try to suppress it. This is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The Stoics understood a fundamental law of the mind. What you resist persists. When you fight the critic, you are validating it. You are agreeing that it is a powerful force worthy of your energy and attention. You are stepping into its frame and playing by its rules. This is a battle you will always lose, because the critic is powered by your own emotional energy. The more you struggle, the stronger it becomes. The goal is not to win a war against your mind. The goal is to make the war completely unnecessary, to render the enemy irrelevant. True power is not about being the loudest voice in your head. It's about realizing you don't have to listen. 4. The Stoic Citadel. Before we can install the off switch, we must build the fortress where it will be housed. This fortress is the central pillar of all Stoic thought, the dichotomy of control. It is a simple, brutal, and liberating concept. In any given situation, there are things you can control and things you cannot. That's it. What can you control? Your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, your character. What can you not control? Everything else. The past, the future, other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, the outcome of your efforts. The man who is a slave to his inner critic lives his life in the second category. He obsesses over what people will think. He replays past mistakes. He frets about future failures. He is trying to command the uncontrollable, and it breaks him. The Stoic man focuses his entire energy, like a laser, only on what he can control, his next virtuous action. 5. The critic's illegitimate domain. Now apply this framework to your inner critic. Listen carefully to what it tells you. What is its subject matter? 99.9% of the time, it is fixated on things outside your direct control. It says, they will think you are a fool. You don't control them. It says, you are going to fail. You don't control the ultimate outcome, only your effort. It says, you should not have made that mistake last year. You cannot control the past. Do you see? The critic operates almost exclusively in an illegitimate domain. It has no jurisdiction there. The moment you realize this, its pronouncements become meaningless. It's like a heckler shouting from the cheap seats. You can hear the noise, but you understand it has no bearing on the game you are playing on the field. Your field is the present moment. Your game is taking the right action. The critic isn't even in the stadium. 6. The physics of attention. Your attention is the most valuable currency you possess. It is a finite resource. Where you invest it, reality grows. The inner critic is a parasite that feeds on your attention. Without it, it starves. The modern world is a conspiracy to steal this currency from you. Notifications, outrage, endless scrolling. It all pulls your attention outward and into the realm of the uncontrollable. This weakens your mind and makes you vulnerable to the critic's attacks. The practice of Stoicism is the practice of reclaiming your attention. It is a deliberate, conscious choice to withdraw your focus from the noise, both external and internal, and to place it firmly on the task at hand. This is not about ignoring the critic. It is about choosing to invest your precious energy into something productive instead. The critic hates this. It wants a debate. It wants a fight. Don't give it one. Simply let it talk to an empty room while you get to work. 7. Introducing the switch, prososh. We have arrived at the core mechanism. The Stoic term for it is prososh. It translates roughly to attention or mindfulness, but it is more active than that. It is a state of vigilant, dispassionate self-awareness. This is the off switch. But it is not a button you press. It is a perspective you adopt. It is the mental move from being the actor in the drama of your thoughts to being the audience. Imagine you are watching a movie. A character on screen is panicked, angry, and afraid. You, in the audience, can observe this. You can understand it, but you are not consumed by it. You are separate. Prososh is the act of doing this with your own mind. The critic starts its monologue, and instead of getting swept up in the emotion, you mentally take one step back. You become the observer. The switch has been flipped. You are no longer the subject of the criticism. You are the witness to it. 8. The power of dispassionate observation. Let's make this practical. When the critic says, "You are unprepared for this presentation, you will humiliate yourself," the untrained mind fuses with this thought. It becomes a reality. The heart rate increases, the palms sweat, the feeling of panic is real. The man practicing pro-sosh experiences it differently. He hears the thought and thinks, there is the thought pattern of unpreparedness and humiliation. Interesting. He observes it without judgment. He doesn't fight it. He doesn't believe it. He simply notes its presence like a scientist observing a phenomenon. He notes the physical sensations it creates. The heart rate is increasing. My breathing is shallow. By observing it dispassionately, he robs it of its power. The thought is still there, but it no longer commands him. It is just noise. He is free to focus on what he can control, reviewing his notes and taking a deep breath. 9. The activation sequence. Step 1. Acknowledge and label. The off switch is not automatic at first. It requires a conscious 3-step activation sequence. With practice, this becomes second nature. Step 1 is to acknowledge and label. The moment you notice the critic's voice, you must catch it. Then you label it precisely and impersonally. Not "I'm beating myself up again," but rather a critical thought pattern is now active, or the mind is generating thoughts of inadequacy. The language is crucial. You are externalizing the event. You are classifying it as a mental process, not a personal truth. You are putting it in a box. This is a product of the critic. This simple act of labeling creates a crucial space between you and the thought. It's the difference between being in a storm and watching a storm on a weather radar. You acknowledge the storm is there, but you know you are safe in the control room. 10. The activation sequence. Step 2. Apply the dichotomy. Once you have labelled the thought, you immediately proceed to step 2. Apply the dichotomy of control. You ask yourself one powerful, clarifying question. Is the subject of this criticism entirely within my control right now? Let's run the diagnostics. The critic says, "She's going to reject you." Is her reaction entirely within your control? No. The critic says, "You'll never be as successful as him." Is his success or your ultimate future success entirely within your control? No. The critic says, "That thing you said yesterday was so stupid." Is the past entirely within your control? No. This question is a logic bomb. It systematically diffuses the critic's power because the critic almost never ever deals with what is in your control. The moment you get a no, the thought is exposed as irrelevant noise. It's a distraction from your true work. 11. The activation sequence, step 3, the Stoic pivot. The first 2 steps disarm the critic. Step 3 is where you defeat it. This is the Stoic pivot. After you have asked the question and realised the thought is about something uncontrollable, you immediately and decisively pivot your attention by asking a second question. What is the single most virtuous action I can take right now? This is the master stroke. You are not just ignoring the critic. You are redirecting the mental energy it was trying to steal. The critic wants you to ruminate, to worry, to stay trapped in your head. The Stoic pivot forces you back into the real world, back into the realm of your control. "She might reject me" becomes, "What is the most courageous and honest way for me to approach her?" "I might fail" becomes, "What is the first small step I can take to prepare?" You are starving the parasite and feeding the part of you that acts. 12. A real-world example. Let's walk through a scenario. You have a difficult conversation to have with your boss. As you prepare, the critic starts its attack. He's going to fire you. You're going to stumble over your words. This is a disaster. The untrained man panics. He gets lost in the anxiety. The Stoic practitioner activates the sequence. Step 1. Label. The mind is generating catastrophic future scenarios. Step 2. Apply dichotomy. Is his reaction or the ultimate outcome of this conversation entirely in my control? No. Step 3. Pivot. What is in my control? I can control how well I prepare my key points. I can control my posture and my tone of voice. I can control my commitment to being respectful and honest. He then focuses 100% of his energy on those controllable actions. The critic might still be whispering, but he is no longer listening. He is too busy working. 13. Hardening the mind. The practice. This off switch is not a magic pill. It is a mental muscle. The first few times you use it, it will feel clumsy. The critic's pull is strong. You must train. How? Through deliberate practice. Start with small things. The critic's comment about the traffic. The jab about a minor mistake. Every time you successfully run the 3-step sequence, you perform a mental repetition. Each rep makes the muscle stronger. The Stoics used a journal for this. At the end of the day, they would review the day's events. Where did I get disturbed? What was the judgment that caused it? Was it in my control? How could I have applied the sequence better? This isn't about guilt. It's about data analysis. You are debugging your own mind, making the software more efficient with each pass. This daily practice is what separates the man who knows the theory from the man who embodies the practice. 14. Advanced training. Voluntary discomfort. To truly make your mind a fortress, you must test its defences. The Stoics practiced this through voluntary discomfort. They would periodically sleep on the floor, or eat simple food for a few days, or take a cold bath. The point was not to punish themselves, it was to prove to themselves that they could endure, to show the inner critic that its threats of discomfort were empty. When the critic screams, "Don't do that, it will be uncomfortable," you can calmly reply, "I have faced discomfort voluntarily. I know I can handle it." This practice inoculates you against fear. It expands your comfort zone and shrinks the critic's power. It builds a deep, cellular-level confidence that isn't based on what you have, but on what you can withstand. A man who is not afraid of discomfort is a man who cannot be easily controlled by others or by his own mind. 15. The critic as a compass. Here is a more advanced concept for those who are ready. Once you have mastered the off switch, you can begin to use the inner critic in a new way. You can use it as a compass. The things your inner critic attacks most viciously are often the very things you need to do. Its voice gets loudest right before you are about to take a major step in your growth. The business you want to start, the difficult conversation you need to have, the skill you want to learn. The critic's fear is a signpost pointing directly toward your next level of development. When you hear its panicked screaming, you don't retreat. You lean in. You recognize it as a signal that you are on the right path. You have transformed the tyrant in your head into a reluctant guide. Its resistance becomes your direction. This is true mastery. 16. Reframing failure. The critic's favourite weapon is the word failure. It holds this word over your head like a guillotine. The Stoic framework completely redefines failure. Remember the dichotomy of control. You only control the input, your effort, your intention, your character. You do not control the output, the result. Therefore, the only true failure for a Stoic is the failure to act with virtue, the failure to try your best, the failure to be honest. If you did your best, if you acted with courage and integrity, then you have already succeeded, regardless of the outcome. The project might fail, the business might fold, she might say no. These are external events, not reflections of your worth. When you internalize this, the critic's weapon of failure shatters. It has no power over a man who defines success by his own actions, not by the world's applause. 17. The role of amor fati. We can take this even further. The highest Stoic ideal is amor fati, a love of fate. It is not a passive acceptance of whatever happens. It is an enthusiastic embrace of reality, exactly as it is. It is the belief that every event, especially the difficult ones, is an opportunity for you to practice virtue. When you make a mistake and the inner critic screams, "You idiot!" the practitioner of amor fati says, "Good, an opportunity to practice humility, to learn, and to correct my course. When faced with an obstacle, he says, good. An opportunity to practice perseverance and ingenuity. This mindset transforms the entire landscape of your life. There are no more bad events. There are only opportunities. The inner critic, which thrives on judging and resisting reality, simply cannot function in this operating system. It has nothing to latch onto. You have embraced the very things it fears. 18. The quiet confidence. What is the result of all this? What does it feel like to live with the off switch installed? It is not a state of blissful, emotionless emptiness. It is a state of quiet confidence. It's an unshakable inner stability. You still feel emotions, fear, anger, disappointment, but they no longer control you. They are data points, not directives. You can feel fear and still take courageous action. You can feel anger and still respond with wisdom. You are the calm center of your own storm. This is the source of true masculine power. It's not about being the loudest man in the room. It's about being the most composed, the man who cannot be rattled, the man who has mastered his own mind. This is an internal state that radiates outward. People can sense it. It creates trust, respect, and authority without a single word being spoken. 19. A lifelong practice. Understand this. There is no graduation day. There is no point at which the critic is gone forever, and you can stop practicing. This is not a project. It is a way of life. It is a commitment to being a vigilant guardian of your own mind every single day. Some days will be easier than others. On days when you are tired, stressed, or sick, the critic's voice will seem louder, its arguments more convincing. These are the days when the practice matters most. These are the days you prove your commitment. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is to be a little better today than you were yesterday, to catch the thought a little quicker, to pivot to action a little more decisively. This is the path. It is a path of constant incremental improvement. It is the path of the spiritual warrior, the modern Stoic. 20. The power belongs to you. The central message of Stoicism and the secret behind this off switch is that ultimate power is, and always has been, yours. The world can take your job, your money, your reputation. It can imprison your body, but it can never touch your ability to choose your response. Your inner world is your sovereign domain. The inner critic is a squatter who has been living there for years, pretending to be the landlord. Today, you have learned that you hold the deed. You have the key. You have the power to evict. You don't do it with anger or violence. You do it with calm, dispassionate awareness and a decisive pivot to action. The throne inside your mind has been vacant for too long. It is time to claim it. So, what is the Stoic off switch? It's the realization that you don't need a switch. The voice was never plugged into the controls in the first place. Its power was an illusion you sustained by fighting it, by believing it, by giving it your attention. Your freedom is not in the silence of the critic, but in your unshakable ability to observe its noise and choose virtuous action regardless. It can scream all it wants from the passenger seat. You are the one with your hands on the wheel. You always have been. Feel that quiet shift from chaos to command. That is the internal fortress. That is the beginning of emotional sovereignty, and the key is now in your hand. Thank you for investing this hour in forging your own mind. If this framework resonated with you, subscribe to this channel and join a community of men who are committed to this work. This is just the beginning. Now, for your first act. I have one final question for you. What is the first productive action you will take now that you know your inner critic has no real power over you? Declare it in the comments below. Make it real.